All right, welcome back to another episode of Navigating the Modern World with Coach Eli, the Daily Walk Edition. This is episode number 36. I'm back at Red Morton Park in beautiful Redwood City, California. It's another beautiful day here today. I think it's a little bit warmer than it was yesterday. I think it's like 65 degrees right now. I've got my workout outfit on here. Yeah, my Adidas, my nice light and breathable, highly breathable Adidas workout outfit. And before I get started here today, I want to mention that, yes, I did open up comments on my YouTube channel yesterday, and for the most part, I got a great welcome back, and I got some great comments. I think I got one or two negative ones. I had to ban one person, but for the most part, it went pretty well. And I even received another comment, or I received a comment, which is what I'm trying to say, from a gentleman that says, you start your videos each day from the dumpster, and, you should start it somewhere else. He was kind of getting tired of seeing that dumpster. So I made an effort today to not start the video by the dumpster. I know a dumpster is a place where you take out the trash, and I can understand, why it would get old to see my videos start up that way. So, wanted to make you all aware that I do pay attention to the comments, and I do respond to the comments. I'm going to try to respond to as many of the comments as possible, if not all of them, but I know that once my YouTube channel and my Facebook presence and other areas where my videos grows to a pretty huge level, it's going to become more and more difficult. But just know, I'm taking your comments very seriously. If they're presented to me in a serious nature, if they're just a bullshit comment, obviously, I'm only going to value the comment for whatever it's worth. If it's a decent, reasonable comment, I'll take it to heart. I'll make those changes. No big deal. So no dumpster today. Now, I can't promise on my way back, that the dumpster will not somehow make its way into the picture, but I'll do my best to, keep the trash out of the way out of this video or future videos to come. So, yeah, another thing I wanted to mention, last night, Charles F. Gray did a live stream, and I actually went on there and had a good time. It was a very civil conversation. We had some fun. It feels good to be back into the swing of things, and it felt good to be on a live stream. It was just Charles and I. Now, I may do some other live streams with Charles or some other people, but just to make it very clear once again, I don't know if I'm ever going to live stream on YouTube again. There's like a 10% chance I might consider doing live streams in the future. There's a 90% chance I won't. I can never say never, even though I've said that before. You can always change your mind. But for right now, I don't have any plans of doing any live streams on YouTube. I'll probably do some on Facebook and promote them on YouTube. And if people want to come over to my Facebook business page, which is public, you can watch the streams there. I just have a greater control of privacy there and less trollish behavior. But you know what? I'm also looking to grow my channel now. So how about I make a deal with all you guys and gals out there that really want me to live stream? Okay? If you can help me get to 5,000 subscribers, okay, by the end of March 2019, which is like a little over 3 months from now, then I'll probably do some live streams, because I'll have a bunch of other people out there that will pretty much, wash out the 4 or 5 trolls that would probably make those streams miserable. So there's something to consider for you folks out there that really want me to come back and do live streaming on YouTube. Look, I'm trying to do things right. I'm coming back into this the second time around with a lot more knowledge and awareness, and I've really learned, how to better handle these situations. Okay. Again, you're always going to have your trolls and your haters and all of that, no matter what you do. But I'm just trying to handle it in a much better way, a more professional and mature way, based on what I learned when I did this the first time around, when I started almost a couple years ago. So that is that. Besides that, if I have the energy to do it today, I'm gonna do this eventually, but I hope to get a chance to do this later today after I process and upload this video. I want to do a response video to a video that a guy named Big John, who used to run a channel called MGTOW's Freedom and now runs a channel called Society for Men's Freedom because YouTube shut down. Most of you that know who he is, YouTube shut down his MGTOW's Freedom channel about a year ago due to hate speech and vulgar language. But now he has a Society for Men's Freedom channel and pretty much talks about the same stuff. And he did a great video. It's about 44 minutes long that I want to do a response on, a positive response, to show people that there are other people out there, other men out there that are good, decent men that feel the same way about a lot of these topics I've been discussing that pretty much evolve around modern day feminism. Now, Big John's video is 44 minutes, and he also put in the title that no monetization for this video. I guess his channel's monetized. And I guess there's no monetization because of the fact that there is a lot of crazy stuff in there, but it's good stuff. I'm probably going to dissect the entire video. So between me dissecting it, pausing it, and playing the whole thing through, it's probably going to be an hour and a half video on my end, maybe a little bit longer, but it'll definitely be worth it because I want people out there to see that it's not just me that feels this way. And I also support what Big John is trying to create. He's trying to create a collective of men to fight, modern day feminism in a positive way, to bring things back to the way they were, before all this craziness started about 55 years ago, but especially more so in the early 90s with the Millennials and now the post-Millennials, which are known as the I generation. So hopefully I can get that out there by later today or by tomorrow. I also am going to more than likely be doing a couple of interviews this week, one with Charles F. Gray and one with Todd D'Amour. He's a guy from there. I believe they're both from Canada. And Todd D'Amour has an interesting story to share about a divorce he's going through, and he may have to end up spending some jail time due to a situation for something that was out of his control. So much more coming here from Coach Eli's platform. I'm just here to bring everything to you folks in the forefront of what's really happening out there so we can all have a better chance of, having, a fair shot of life in this crazy modern world that we all live in today. So with that being said, let's get to the top of today's Navigating the Modern World with Coach Eli, Daily Walk Edition, episode number 36. And that is Generation X is struggling to adapt to the ways of Gen Y, which are the millennials, and Gen Z, which are the post-millennials, also known as the I generation. One more time, because this is going to be really good. And I've got an example story to share that's going to knock your socks off. Okay? The topic is Generation X is struggling to adapt to the ways of Gen Y, Generation Y, which are the millennials. We all know who they are. And Gen Z, which are the post-millennials, also known as the I generation. And they're the current generation, the I generation, Gen Z. They're known as the I generation because they were pretty much born with a fucking iPhone or smartphone in their hand, and they live by that thing. Texting, using, apps to communicate with people, watching a bunch of YouTube videos about how the modern world is, and being indoctrinated into this crazy culture we're in through social media, and it's all at their fingertips wherever they go, and they can't live without their fucking phone. And I've seen this hands on. And the example I'm going to share today is I'm not going to mention any names, but it's going to involve a past relationship I was in, where this particular ex-girlfriend, had two teenage daughters and had two great parents. And I'm going to share with you folks some of the things I experienced while being in that relationship that involved their kids, or her kids. Her kids are Gen Z, which once again is the post-millennial I generation. And I saw some things that just completely knocked my socks off. And I'm like, wow, I can't believe this shit's happening. So before I get into it, I want to make a disclaimer, because I doubt that this ex is watching my stuff anymore, but you just never know. You never know. I want to make a disclaimer that I don't hate this ex or hate her parents. I actually think that she's still a very good person. I also feel her parents are two very great people that are still married to this day. They've been married for, I think almost 50 years or so. And they've had a great traditional marriage, the parents of this particular ex. And they also raised this particular ex the right way. Because while I was with her, and it just involved her, I saw a lot of old school traditional values within her. She respected me for being a man, and I respected her for being a woman. Now, granted, there were a lot of modern things between us, because no matter how much any woman believes in traditionalism nowadays, things are still different. Most women are working, and that's going to kind of change things up. But for the most part, the way this woman was raised by her parents was to be, a traditional type of woman, and to respect, her man, and to just, be a good woman to her man. At the same time, while I was with her, I was good to her. Okay, I respected her and appreciated her. So just to put it into perspective, you're looking at, two previous generations before this particular ex's kids, which are now living in the Generation Z, which is the post-millennial I generation. Okay. Right. So we're seeing a gap of two generations, or, we're looking at my ex. Yeah, two generations. My ex was Gen X, like myself. Her parents were baby boomers before Gen X. So once again, my ex's parents were raised traditionally. They had a traditional marriage. They still have that, I believe, to this day. And they raised their Gen X daughter the same way. Okay? And this particular ex, ended up getting married at a young age, the age of 20, because she wanted to have the same life her parents had. Her parents were great role models to her. And she wanted to replicate that, because that's the way life had been for many, many centuries, before the world started to change recently with this, Gen Y millennial and Gen Z post-millennial I generation shit that's happening nowadays. Okay. So again, this particular ex, she got married at the age of 20, wanted to have kids, and wanted to live happily ever after. Okay? And that's what she believed in, and I still feel believes in to this day. But what's happened to her two teenage daughters that are growing up in a world today of radical feminism, that are growing up in a world where now there are gay rights, which is fine. There are people out there that don't associate or identify themselves as a man or a woman, which is now known as non-binary, or you can say it's gender non-conforming, right? Because of all of that is happening, it has just really changed things up with how our youth is being raised and what they are seeing on their iPhone or their smartphone, on YouTube, social media, or the mainstream media, and especially what they're seeing at school through their peers. Okay. Now, again, this video is for informational purposes. I'm not here to bash this ex or her family, because in all honesty, I feel that this particular ex is still a good person. I still have respect for her to this day, and I still have respect for her parents to this day. What I think is happening, to be honest with you, is that this particular ex and her parents, which are the grandparents of her kids, I think the three of them, the parents and this ex, are conforming to the way things are, with my ex's kids, and her parents are the grandparents. They're conforming to the way things are when they really feel differently and feel otherwise. But let me get into explaining a little bit about, what I saw within her kids. Number one, I feel her kids are both very intelligent. They're both very smart. They're two very smart, young, and beautiful women. Okay? That, at least when I was around in the picture, I saw within both of them that they're going to have a bright future. One of them was 16, almost 17, when I was in the picture, and the other one was 13, going on 14. The one that was 16, almost 17, started driving shortly after I was in that relationship, and went off and started doing her own thing. And when I would, talk to the older one, like when my ex and I would hang out with her, I would ask her, so, hey, how are the guys nowadays? Are they treating you right, this and that, And, she would say, we're just all friends, It's like, what about dating and relationships and this and that? No, we just all hang out, We just hang out. She wouldn't even mention anything about dating or anything like that. And I'm sitting here and thinking to myself, why? What the hell is going on nowadays, right? And I don't want to get too far into it because, in case, my ex or her family is watching this, I don't want you getting the wrong idea. I'm not attacking anybody. But basically, what I saw more through the older one is that it's become more of a friends with benefits type of hookup culture, and no one seems to be getting serious in high school anymore. It's not like how it used to be when I was in high school. I had a serious relationship with a high school sweetheart. I loved her. She loved me. We went to two different schools, and we went to each other's junior and senior proms together. We went to 4 proms together, and that was awesome. It was just an awesome and amazing experience. And I was trying to kind of, talk about this with my ex's oldest daughter back then, because I was curious to see how things are now compared to how I lived my life during that same period that she's now going through. And it's totally different. It's just totally different. And I would, every now and then would say, hey, don't you plan on finding that nice special guy one day and getting married and having children and this and that? And her oldest daughter, which was a very, very nice young lady, said, I'm not thinking about that right now. I said, what are you thinking about? Oh, I'm working, I'm making money, and, thinking about, school and the future. So nowadays, young ladies are more so being indoctrinated into, okay, they're more career focused and they're more, focused on other things than a future. Nothing wrong with being career focused, but, why wouldn't you want to start thinking about your future and sharing it, with a man and reproducing and procreating, which is what the whole purpose of this world was meant to be. So, as of the time that, I was pretty much, booted out of that relationship. My ex broke it off with me, and I'm not being bitter about it. I'm just saying, as of the time where we were no longer together, her oldest one still felt that way, and it saddens me because I don't think it's her fault. I think it's just the culture that's been indoctrinated in her. Stop sleeping with my ankle. Yeah. You got some motherfuckers over there that, want to talk shit while I'm recording. The guy just said, stop sleeping with my uncle. You got little shits nowadays, man, and they give them driver's licenses to drive around and fuck around with people. That's what you get when you put yourself out there with the selfie stick and all that. It's pretty interesting. So, like I was saying, the oldest one, who's a very, very nice young lady, is not even thinking about a future with a man or her future life or procreating to keep the family name going. She's thinking about herself. She's thinking about her education and making money. But, she goes out with guys every now and then as friends, and I'm not going to get any further into that, but I'm sure you can figure out, that kids still, do certain recreational activities that, us guys that had a high school sweetheart would do with our high school sweetheart, but they do it without the commitment of a relationship. And that's as far as I'm going to go right there. It's become a hookup culture. Okay. Now, let's go to the younger one that was 13 going on 14. Very extremely intelligent young lady. 4.3 grade point average. When I would have conversations with, this particular ex's youngest one, I felt like I was talking to somebody that had the maturity level of a 30 or 40-year-old woman, in a 13 or 14-year-old body. And I was like really blown away and impressed. And this younger one claimed to be a feminist, which at the time when I was in the picture, I did not believe that she was a feminist, because she said, I'm not a man hater. I just believe, in feminist rights. And I would tell her, I said, look, I have no problem with women having equal rights. I have a problem with women that hate men and women that take advantage of the system and request special privileges that men have never received. So I don't consider you a feminist. Well, if I look back now, I take that back. I now think she is a feminist based on what I'm about to say, because of how she ended up responding to me down the road when I started talking with her about some different things, after she shared some things with my ex and I that kind of blew our minds both away. So this young lady, my ex's youngest one of my ex's youngest ones, very intelligent, that she's gone through private school most of her life, very expensive private school for excelled learning, because she gets bored easily. She picks up things very fast, so she needs to be challenged even more, you know, which is fine. Some of the people that she went to school with were already getting involved into this new culture of gender nonconforming, people identifying as non-binary, meaning that I don't identify myself as either a man or a woman. You know, this particular ex's youngest one, you know, had a friend like that. And I had never heard about, you know, what non-binary is until she mentioned it. And basically, I said, well, you know, is this person a male or a female? And she said, they are not a man or a woman. They don't identify themselves. She would start speaking as they or them, not he or she. And I was saying, biologically, this person is either a man or a woman. Well, they don't identify as a man or a woman. I said, that's not what I asked. I said, biologically, is this person a male or a female? And, you know, my ex, who was around that situation, I think we were driving somewhere, going to pick up this non-binary chick who was actually female. They said that she's biologically a female, but she doesn't identify as a man or a woman. She identifies as non-binary, none of the above. And I was like, wow. I mean, no disrespect. People can be whatever they want to be, but I'm like, what the fuck is going on here nowadays? And then down the road, my ex came to me and told me that her daughter came to her and said that I'm not attracted to men, I'm attracted to women. So I basically asked my ex at the time, so are you saying that your daughter is lesbian? And she said, apparently that's what she wants to be. I said, are you happy about that? She said, it's her choice on what she wants to be. I love her for who she is. Okay. So it's her choice on who she wants to be, which is true. But how do you feel about that? All she kept saying, my ex was saying, it's her choice on what she wants to be. It's not my place to tell her that. And see, that's not what I was trying to ask my ex. I had no problem with her youngest one, you know, choosing to be, you know, lesbian or, you know, being more attracted to women than men and you know, not wanting to date men, right? My problem was, what was my ex's honest thoughts about that? Okay? Because remember, my ex was brought up in a traditional household between, you know, her mother and father, a male and a female, that had a long time and still have a long time traditional marriage to this day. And then my ex, remember, she ended up replicating that when she got married in her early 20s and decided to have kids, which ended up being the two girls. So she believed in that. So I know what my ex's beliefs are, and I know, you know, how she feels about certain things coming from herself. So when I asked her about how she felt about, you know, her daughter coming to her and saying that, you know, she prefers women over men, and she's basically saying she wants to be lesbian, she just said, you know, if that's what she wants to be, you know, then I respect her and accept her for that. But she wouldn't really tell me her real thoughts, because let's be real here. And this is the thing I want to say in case this particular ex and her parents are watching. I'm on your side here. I'm not here to criticize you. I actually really enjoyed being around your family. Before I get into it, let me just make it clear. I enjoyed being around this ex's parents. They were great parents. I kind of felt like they were my secondary parents. I loved this family, and including this ex. Okay? But what really started to make it weird is that I felt like my ex, you know, basically accepted the fact that, her daughter is this particular way. But I honestly feel that she wishes her daughter, you know, would have ended up, being more like her, more like a, traditional lady that, wants to go through school, end up finding a good man, settling down, getting married, having kids, and procreate to continue on the family name. Now, again, I'm not sitting here criticizing either one of her kids for the choices they're making on who they want to be. That's their choice. What I'm saying here is that I feel that this particular ex, along with her parents, have just ended up conforming to this solely on the fact that they don't want to upset, these two young ladies, which are my ex's kids and my ex's parents' grandkids. They're pretty much accepting something, and they're reacting in ways where they're totally cool with it when deep down inside it's not what they really believe in. There's a difference between accepting something and believing in something. And, you are what you believe in. And what I mean by when I say you are what you believe in is that, look, my ex's parents, which are the grandparents of her daughters, have a traditional marriage. They believe in marriage between a man and a woman. They believe in procreating and having a family. My ex believes in the same thing. Obviously, she got married and had 2 kids. Now, both of her kids don't believe in this at all. And if her kids want to live a different life, according to how things used to be back in the days of traditionalism, which is dead now, that's up to them. But that doesn't mean that her as the parent and, her parents as the grandparents, that doesn't mean that they have to conform to this. They can accept it, but they can also be true to themselves at the same time and say that, hey, you know what? This is not how things were when we grew up. We really, were hoping that, you'd find a nice man and get married one day and have children and continue the family name. But if that's what you choose to be, then we accept you and support you on that. But this is not how it was when we grew up, or your mother grew up. If this is her parents talking, this is not how it was when grandma and grandpa grew up and your mother grew up. But we understand that times are different, but we just want you to know how things were during our time and what we believe in and how life was. They're not saying that. What they're doing is they're directly just accepting it because they feel if they don't accept it that, one or both of the girls are going to revolt and basically, like disown them or something. Like they're fearing something. So again, my problem here is not the fact that these 2 teenage girls are choosing to, live their life in the crazy modern ways that society has made things to be nowadays. They're going to do whatever they want to do. And even if, their mom or their grandparents tell them otherwise, they're still going to do what they want to do. Well, my issue is that, is this particular ex and her parents really being true to themselves with their beliefs when dealing with the girls, with the teenage girls, or are they just conforming to what society has ingrained in them through the mainstream media, through social media, through their iPhones that they're getting this information from? Are they just conforming to that? Okay? And being politically correct PC. That's all I have to say about that. And then, you know what? If my ex comes across this video, this particular ex, and she knows who she is, I'm not trying to bash you. I think you're a great woman with great morals, values, and ethics and great beliefs. And I feel the same way about your parents. And I'm not trying to say anything negative about your kids, because they're going to live their life the way they want to live it, regardless of what you say or tell them to do or not to do. But are you being true to yourself? What I want to ask this particular ex, not literally, figuratively, because she's probably not even seeing this, but who knows, is that when you had these two girls, or when you got married and you envisioned having a family, did you envision your girls, being non-binary or being lesbian or being anything but something that you've been? I bet you when you got married, you wanted to have the happy life, have a nice house, white picket fence, a dog, a cat, and have a couple kids that you were going to raise to go out there, make something out of themselves, and then find a significant other, get married, and reproduce just like you did, which has been the way life has always been for many centuries. Okay? Can you sit there and tell me that that wasn't what you were thinking? Because let me tell you, back in those days when you got married and before your kids were even born, all of this non-binary, gender non-conforming stuff didn't exist. So I know for a fact you weren't thinking that. And I still think you feel the same way. Because if you don't think and feel the same way as you did when you got married and decided to start having kids, if your outlook has changed, then your outlook is changing solely on the fact that you just are conforming to the way society has, created things to be nowadays, which has really fucked shit up. Now, I'm not sitting here and criticizing people that are gay or gender non-conforming or non-binary. People can be whoever they want to be. I accept people for who they are. If someone's nice to me, I'm nice to them. If they respect me for being straight, I'll respect them for being whatever the fuck they are or want to be. All I'm saying here is that, you as the parent and your parents as the grandparents, if you dig deep within your heart and your soul, is your reaction to this, more so because you honestly accept it, or is it just because you accept it, or is it because you actually believe in it? Because if you say that you believe in the culture of today, then you're not being true to the way you've always been. It's hypocritical. And see, that's why, I'm a good guy here, and I really cared about this woman, and I cared about her parents. I looked at her parents, in the same ways I've looked at my parents. I really loved this family. But I've just grown to realize that I think they've been indoctrinated into a politically correct culture. And me being in there, I was always a nice guy and nice to them. I did nice things for these people. I was very loving and caring and nurturing to their daughter and to her parents as well. But because of the fact that I'm not politically correct, and I spoke out on some of these things with my opinions, and I didn't conform to the way things are nowadays because I have my own beliefs in the way that I was born and raised, just like my ex's parents were born and raised and she was raised. Basically, I think that was part of the demise of why my relationship didn't work out. Now, there were other things. I'm not being bitter here. I've moved past it. I'm sharing this for example purposes because I want you folks to realize what's really happening here to good people. And again, how long have we gone for? 39 minutes. I got to wrap this up soon. And again, I've got nothing at all bad to say about my ex or her parents. To my ex, you know who you are. I think you're a good woman. And to my ex's parents, sir, ma'am, I want to keep the names, private, obviously. You're amazing people. You made a big impact in my life, and I loved you folks like my own family. And I was always true to you with what I was saying and my beliefs. I was always honest and truthful. Okay? Now, there were some other things in the relationship that I kept from my ex, which really would not have affected the relationship. So, you can kind of see those as white lies, but those weren't really that big of a deal. We could have worked through those. But I think one of the major issues in this relationship was the fact that I am not politically correct. And deep down inside, I don't really think my ex or her parents are politically correct, but they become politically correct because of what my ex's daughters and my ex's parents' granddaughters are going through in the modern world based on how society has made things to be. It's unbelievable. It's unfreaking believable. And when I was a part of this, my intentions were honest and pure. My ex's girls were and probably still are two beautiful, amazingly talented kids. And I know they didn't have their father in the picture. And they still don't to this day. Their father wasn't a bad person, but he just didn't know how to engage them. He always distanced himself from them. Maybe that's what fucked them up a little bit. And when I came into the picture, I wasn't trying to replace their father, but I was trying to basically, help my ex, give these girls a better chance by having a decent male role model in their life. That was my honest intention. Those were my honest intentions. Okay? And I was always raw, natural, and real with them. I was never politically correct because I don't believe in being politically correct. I believe in being real, raw, honest, and genuine. But because of modern day feminism and all of this bullshit that's happening, where basically straight men are getting the shaft, and now we're uplifting gender neutral restrooms, gender non-conforming, people or non-binary people. As a matter of fact, if they haven't already done it, I believe they're going to start adding non-binary as an option to choose on your driver's license here in California. You're going to have an option to basically choose male, female, or or non-binary, which is none of the above. You basically get to choose an option that says you don't have a penis or a vagina. But biologically, you do. Look, I may not agree with what's happening with all this gender non-conforming stuff and non-binary and all this and that. I may not agree with it. I'll be honest with you. But I accept it, and I accept people for who they are, and I'm not going to criticize or shut down or shut out other people and not be friends with them just because they say they're non-binary. If they're cool with me, I'm cool with them. My problem is how PC, politically correct, we made this world to appease these people and basically kiss their ass to say that, hey, yeah, we're okay with you being that way. Okay? We believe in that as well. When in reality, that's not what you believe in because that's not how you've lived your life. You've lived your life traditionally between a man and a woman. You're basically conforming to it because if you don't conform to it, that's an Xfinity truck or van backing up. They've got the loud fucking reverse Xfinity Comcast. You're agreeing with it to conform to it because you don't want the backlash from your kids or grandkids. Here's the thing. You're not bullshitting me. Whether you bullshit me or not doesn't matter at this point because I'm out of the picture. This is just for example purposes. But you're bullshitting yourself. You are basically going against your own beliefs, just to appease these kids rather than stating how you actually feel. You can state how you actually feel and still accept the way they are. Okay? But if you just accept the way they are and pretend to say that, yeah, we're totally cool with this and that, right? What kind of message are you sending? Okay? And you're completely going against the way you've lived your life, within your marriage, whether it's my ex's parents in this case or my ex. It's just unbelievable to me. Again, people can be whoever they want to be. They can be what they want to be. They can be a they or a them instead of a he or a she. I don't give a fuck. Be what you want to be. Let me just cross the street here. I don't really give a fuck. Be what you want to be. Okay? But if you believe in something and you basically say something different to another group of people that think differently just to appease them, then it's going to be very difficult for any normal, decent person like myself to fully respect you. And I'm not saying I disrespect my ex or her parents or anyone else like this, but it's just harder to respect people that conform to things just to appease a certain group, in this case, these two teenage girls, than to just be themselves and be true to themselves. If you can't be true to yourself, then how can you be true to others? Okay? This is just an example here. Again, before I wrap this up as I head back to my car, I wish no harm upon this particular ex or her parents. And if they somehow see this, it's going to highly offend them. I know it will, because the truth hurts. The truth hurts. I'm being real with you. I care about you folks, even though I'm no longer in the picture and you don't give a shit about me and you probably think I'm some crazy fucked up guy anyway. I'm just being real. I'm a real, decent, strong man. Straight, strong man. Raw and masculine. And I care and love people unconditionally. Okay? And I'm always going to be myself and stake my claim wherever I go, even if it's different than yours. And the thing is, my opinions about this stuff were different than yours, which is why all of you lost faith in me, which is why, to my ex's parents, which is why your daughter is no longer with me. It's because my opinions are exactly how I feel, and I'm true to myself, regardless of whatever comes my way. One more story I'll share here very briefly before I wrap this up. This is with no disrespect to my ex's father. I think he's a great man. When my father passed away 10 years ago and I was with this ex, I felt like he was my father. Sir, I have so much respect for you. Okay? But when we were in a situation and I responded to somebody and said, that's the difference between men and women and male and female relationship dynamics, and then you responded and said, it's about people, Eli, it's about people. You made it very clear right there that you are conforming to this modern world of all this crazy stuff happening, which, if people want to be who they want to be, they can be that way. But how do you feel about it, sir? You're a man and you're married to a woman. You've been married to her for what, 40, 50 years? Like 45, 50 years? You're a man. Are you going to stand up for what you believe in as a man, or are you going to conform to the way things are just to appease people so you don't create any issues? I don't feel good just saying something to appease someone to avoid some scrutiny. But yeah, when my ex's father told me it's about people, I wasn't mad at him. I was thrown off. I felt like I said something wrong. When in reality, men and women are different. We are different. And we are people, but we're also men and women. And we have something different to bring to the table. Men and women both have different aspects to bring to the table. And when they come together as one and can work together as a team, they can create amazing success together. But rather than looking at it that way, nowadays we look at it as we're people. We're no longer a man and a woman, we're people. That's how I felt about that. But I know deep down inside, my ex's father is a man. He's happy to be a man. And I know deep down inside how he feels about himself and how he looks at this. But what he comes out and says now is more so conforming to the way things are, because his granddaughters are being indoctrinated into this culture of modern day feminism, this culture of non-binary people, of gender non-conforming people, of gender neutral restrooms and all this stuff. And fine, it's all good that it's happening. I'm happy that all these people want to be who they want to be and they have these rights, but do straight men have to sit here and conform their beliefs to be politically correct just to appease these people from getting mad? I want you folks to believe in what you believe in, not say things just to appease people and to appease this radical feminist culture we all live in today. It's bullshit. I'm tired of it. I have a lot more respect for people that have the balls to come out and just say how they honestly feel. And before I wrap this up, I just want to say I honestly feel that the people I use in this example, this particular ex and her parents, are three of the most amazing people I've met in my life and will ever meet in my life. No doubt about it. And if that's how I feel about them, and they are reacting to things by just conforming to, what's happening around, these teenage girls' lives I've been mentioning in this video, that are the grandparents, that are the grandkids of my this particular ex's parents. If they're just conforming to this, come on, are you being real to yourself? If you folks that I highly value as good people are seeing it this way, I can only imagine how other people are seeing it and why things are so fucked up nowadays. I'm saddened by this. I'm really saddened by this. How long have we been going for now? 53 minutes. I've got to wrap this up. Really saddened by this shit. Okay? No disrespect to anyone mentioned in this video. This particular family I've been talking about, I had some of the greatest experiences with. And I'm not sitting here hurting or being bitter about it. This is an example. And I now more so realize, why, sometimes people would get mad at me for some of the things I would say while I was around this family. It wasn't because, they didn't agree with me. It was because of the fact that they have adapted to this new culture that the generation, that the millennials and the post-millennials, the Generation Z generation, are now dealing with. They've adapted to that. They've just decided to say, hey, you know what? This is the way things are nowadays. Let's throw out everything that fucking happened while we were growing up, or let's throw out our morals, values, and ethics, and let's focus on theirs. It's sad. It's fucking sad. And that's where I'm going to end this video. Okay? Hopefully I have the energy to do the response video that I mentioned at the beginning of this video later today in regards to another person that's been talking about similar issues. If not, I'll get that out within the next couple of days. And then, like I said, I have a couple of interviews that I'm going to be doing this week. I think I'm doing Todd Demore tomorrow. I got to reach out to him. And then Charles F. Gray probably on Thursday or Friday. Okay? If you want to reach out to me for any reason, just go below in the description section of this Facebook video, YouTube video, on my website, and just email me at coacheli@coacheliasmelas.com. If you want to share your story that I may respond to in a future video for free, and sharing your story, I'll tell you, that's how we learn. That's why I shared this story here. If you want to share your story and let me talk about it in the video, and I feel it would bring value to my entire audience, I'll respond to you and share my thoughts about it for free in a future video. Okay? You all be good to each other. I love you all. I care about everyone, regardless of who you are. Whether you're male or female, gay, straight, lesbian, bi, trans, whether you're non-binary or gender non-conforming or gender neutral or whatever the hell you are, regardless of your race, national origin, sexual orientation, I love you all. I love you all. But let's love each other equally. Let's be on the same playing field. Let's not give special privileges to certain groups because they were oppressed in the past. And let's not oppress men nowadays because now all these other groups have, rights and they have power, like women and all these other groups. And now men are being oppressed because now we're like seeing this shit and we don't know what the fuck to do. It's so different. Let's not oppress everybody. Let's accept everybody for who they are, and let's stand up for our own beliefs. Let's be true to ourselves first. No matter how much it's going to affect how others feel about you. Okay? You're looking at baby boomers and Gen X being closely similar to each other, and then you have millennials and post millennials, the I generation, which are totally different. The baby boomers and the Gen X are completely from a different era than the now millennials and the post millennials, Gen Y, I generation people. But just because Gen X and baby boomers and everyone pretty much before that time, throughout the history of time before that, were traditional, and the new generations are not traditional, it doesn't mean that we have to change our beliefs and how we were raised. We can accept the new generations for who they are. It doesn't mean we have to agree with it. We can accept it, but we also need to be true to ourselves. That's where I'm going to end this video. Hopefully it makes sense. Have a great one, everyone. I'll see you all next time. See you soon.